Hello, gentle viewers. Welcome back to another installment of the Hi-Vis cooking series. Yesterday's attempt at making an apple cake did turn out to be successful in the end. Once I realized that you cannot substitute 165 grams of caster sugar for 165 grams of salt. So once that all got sorted out, it did work out to be absolutely delicious. What I'm going to cook for you tonight is a recipe inspired by my dear beautiful friend Francine. So thank you very much, Francine. So we will be making some cornbread tonight. And I've had cornbread while traveling in the US, and it's absolutely delicious and very tasty. Unfortunately, for some reason, my Thermomix isn't cooperating, and it's telling me that I'm not logged into my account, and I can't quite work that one out. So I'm going to be doing this the sort of old-fashioned way by referring to my phone, because I have the Cookie Do app installed on my phone, so I can refer to the recipe from here. And so essentially I'm just going to be using my Thermi manually. So I'll be using it as a set of weighing scales, and I'll also be adjusting the speed and temperature and time as I go. But this is a really, really quick recipe. You're basically putting a whole bunch of ingredients together into the mixing bowl, and then pouring the batter into a greased cake tin. This is a silicone thing I found, and it looks so cool, and it's pink. So on the more functional side, though, this doesn't require as much greasing as a normal, cake tin would need. So I've greased that a little bit, and I'm also preheating my oven to 200 degrees. Let's get all this going. In my Thermi already, I've chopped up 125 grams of tasty cheese, so just into little chunks. But what we're going to be doing here is grating this for 3 seconds on speed 7. 3 seconds, speed 7. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Speed 7. All right. So I could have actually bought grated cheese, but that's what the Thermi does to a block of cheese in 3 seconds. So it's 3 seconds on speed 7. There we go. There we go. So to that, I'm just going to basically put everything else in. So I'm going to be using an ingredient I've never used before, which isn't really that unusual for me, which is, hold up, which is polenta. So the US, in the US, they would actually call this cornmeal. In Australia, we call this polenta. So you cannot substitute corn flour for this, I realize. So we're putting in some polenta, and we're putting in 250 grams of polenta. So I will just go back to my scales, tear that, 250 grams. La, la, la. So if you can hear that in the background, I've got a cat eating his dinner. 254 grams. That's all right. So that's my polenta. My guess is that that's going to give the cornbread its yellowy, corny texture. So the polenta's gone in. The flour, and I'm using 90 grams of plain flour. So 90 grams of plain flour. Again, I will reset the scales. Whoops. And let's do 90 grams of this. Painfully slow. Oh, 91 grams. Okay, so 90 grams of plain flour. And to the plain flour and the polenta, I'm going to add 30 grams of white sugar. Note to self, white sugar is not the same as salt. And although in cooking you can do, a lot when it comes to substitutions, salt for sugar is one of them. So, I've got a built-in spoon here. So here we go. What was it? 30 grams. Here we go. All right. 35 grams, close enough. So, sugar, and I'm guessing we need to put in some salt. So the salt is done, that's 1 teaspoon. This is salt. There's a little label in here that tells me that it's salt. So I really should learn to read those labels. So 1 teaspoon of salt. Here we go. So there's some salt. I also need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So 1 teaspoon of baking powder. There you go. And also, I need a ½ teaspoon of bicarb soda. So let me just grab my ½ teaspoon measure, which is this one here. And ½ teaspoon of bicarb soda. Okay, so there's that. And what else do I need in here? Oops. What else do I need in here? Checking milk, eggs, and oil. So basically everything apart from the corn. So the milk, I'm putting in 320 mils. 320 mils, which may or may not be enough. We're getting there. Okay, got a little bit left over. 320 mils of milk. I need 3 eggs. So 3 eggs. Whoops. Egg number 1. Every time I look at eggs, I always remember a question that relates the length of an egg to its mass. And it was a question in the old Maths and Society textbook, Jones and Couchman. Oh, I've just ruined that. This polenta might be a little bit on the crunchy side, but I'm sure the eggshells are just going to add a little bit more super crunch. So 3 eggs. There we go. And the last thing I have to add, oops, is the oil. And I think I'm putting in 60 grams. 60 grams of olive oil. So let us reset that. 60 grams. I actually organised my pantry today and found things I had no idea I had in there. Don't know how long they've been in there. Checked a lot of use by dates. And organised my space into a baking section and an Indian section. And that for good measure. There you go. Feel quite accomplished with that. So I think that's all I need before I put the corn in. That'll be the last thing I put in. So I'm going to now put the lid back on, mix this. Mix this for 10 seconds on speed 4. Okay, 10 seconds. Speed 4. There we go. Now that's happening. I'm putting in, I think it's 60 grams of corn. All right, let me just show you what we've got here. So this is my batter. If you can see that, I don't want to actually tip it out. Hang on. Oh, that's my batter without the corn. So all I'm going to do now is just add in 60 grams of frozen corn. If you don't have frozen corn, you can use fresh corn kernels. But the recipe, I've got tinned corn in the cupboard, and it doesn't say I can use that, so I won't. So 60 grams. Well, that's about 70 grams, but I don't think it really matters. And the last thing I need to do now is add corn combined for 5 seconds on speed 4. So my total preparation time here really isn't that much. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds? 5 seconds on speed 4. The old memory's not what it used to be. I don't think it ever was. Here we go. All right. Okay. Whoops. All right. So all I'm going to do now is pour this into my pre-greased silicone tin. All right, I'm just going to get the spatula on this. I will be back. All right, so this is what my batter looks like, if you can see that. This is going to go into my oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Let's see what actually happens. See you on the other side.